guys, welcome back to Funny Software. Now today we are going to understand about like Angular application and REST API integration. How can we integrate a REST API whether it is developed in Spring Boot or any other technology? So how can we integrate or how can we consume that REST API in our Angular application? So we'll try to understand now. Angular plus Spring Boot, whatever, Spring Boot REST API, or if you want you can just simply say REST API. Okay, so this REST API you can able to create in different technologies. If you are trying to create in Java, so you can use Spring Boot, or if you are trying to create in other technologies, so you can use like Python or any other technologies. Okay, so now let's understand this. So already we have REST API, so we need to just communicate how to like consume or how to communicate with that API and get the data. So that is what our actual concept now. So we have already created Spring Boot application. If you are not know like you are going to if you are not sure about how to create an API, so our previous videos already Spring Boot workshops is there, so we just verify so that you can understand how to create a REST APIs using Spring Boot. Okay, sample user controller I have. So here lot of APIs I created, like add user. If you want to add a user to the database, so using this API /add user as a post method. Same way you have the APIs, but I am trying to use for testing. So this API, all users API. Okay, so we already developed this API. If you can see inside this get all users, so this is the user service. So get all users, so it's trying to retrieve from database, so that I am using data JPA user repository dot find all, so that all users is going to return from database. So this is the local, and we deployed into GCP cloud as well. So once we deployed, so this is the actual API, cloud API. So this is the endpoint. Okay, this is called endpoint. If it is a local, so you can use like HTTPS : interface localhost : and then whatever your port / and then actual endpoint. So if you want to communicate with the local, so you need to use this endpoint URL. If you want to communicate with her, if your API is deployed in any cloud service, so it will generate a URL, right? So you can communicate with this API. So for me, we already deployed into GCP cloud. So if you want to learn how to deploy, so stay tuned. So we are trying to upload entire GCP codes thing, like how to create a Spring Boot and how to deploy into the GCP cloud, and how to binding one service to another service. So everything, like how to create Oracle or MySQL database inside the GCP cloud. So everything the videos will launch soon, so stay tuned. Right, so ultimately we are going to use this URL now. So if you can check, so since it is a get method, this is the get API, so that if you want to test this API, you can just go to browser and you can hit directly. So I am opening Chrome browser. So if you can add it, since it is a get API, you just hit directly in browser. So if it is a post or put or delete API, so you need to use must and should, you need to use postman tool for testing the APIs. So since it is a deployed in GCP, so I'm using trial version, so that it is taking some time. So we'll see. Yes, so this is my API response. So if you want, I will try to see show it here in postman. So this is the API, get API I'm selecting, and if you hit send, so it is returning this JSON data. Okay, lot of members, lot of users, other number, first name, last name, and other details, everything it's displaying here. So now this API from Angular, I am trying to call this API and get this JSON data. That is my first step, right? So now we'll strictly go ahead and create a scratch Angular application, and then we'll follow a few steps to communicate or call that particular endpoint. Okay, so yeah, go to your favorite folder wherever you are going to create a project. For example, Angular project. So for example, I have Angular project, so I'm going to create a project here. Okay, so before going to create a project or working in Angular, you need to install node.js and then Angular CLI. Okay, so our previous videos and previous tutorials, I will help you how to download the node.js and how to install the Angular and everything, so that you can verify the previous videos. If you have any doubts, please let us know. So at least add a comment in comment section, so that I'm definitely reply you and will provide you the solution whatever you need. Okay, on upcoming going forward, mostly Primeng tutorials will come, so stay tuned guys. So any doubts, let us know. So before also few of the members asking about data table, how to use data tables, how to use charts.js in Primeng. So a lot of things they have commented, and so that we'll try to upload those series also. Okay, so before going to create a project, first I need to check the version. So node version, node -v. If you can see node -v, so I install 20.17.0. okay, this is my node.js version, and then npm version. If you want to, you can see npm -v. So this is the node package manager version 10.8.2 already installed. If you install this node.js, automatically our npm also will work. Okay, then Angular ng version. If you can hit ng version, so that you will get Angular CLI version. Angular CLI is 18.x, is already installed in my system. So if you are new to Angular, so we have like a few workshops as well as few tutorials is there. So you just go there and verify that. And if you have any doubt, personal doubts, please let us know. And we are going to start our Angular official course as well, like online course. So if you want to join, you can join. Okay, yeah. So now I'm going to create a project. How can we create a project? By using ng new and then our application name. For example, I'm trying to ng new and our application name is, how can we, which application, which name we can say, Angular integration, right? Like Spring Boot, REST API integration, REST integration testing. Okay, makes sense, right? So project name is REST integration testing. I am trying to take, and then since I am using Angular 18.x and advanced version node 20.x, so by default, if you hit ng new and project name, our routing module and app module.ts file is app module.ts file is not coming, so it is generated as a standalone application. So that we need to add one more flag like no standalone, so that we'll try to create, it will create like web application type. Okay, so hit enter. So it is taking some time. So here it is asking like which CSS styles it needs. So I am selecting CSS. Just hit enter. And do you want to enable server side rendering, SSR, and static side generation? If you want, you can use S. Then it is trying to install all the packages from node package manager npm. So it is taking some time since it is a first time creation, right? Project creation will take some time. So whatever the basic need packages needed for our Angular application, all packages will download. Yes, so application is generated successfully. So if you can see this Angular project folder, so our REST integration testing project will created successfully. So before going to deploy into, before open in IDE, so just run this project. So just go to inside the project. What is the project name? REST integration, right? REST integration testing CD. I am doing CD, and then it is navigating into the root folder of the project. Then I am using ngserve for running the server. Yes, it is building now. Guys, whatever doubts you need, please let us know. Let me know. So definitely we'll try to help you. Our team will try to help you. Okay. So yes, this is generated a link. Just copy that link and open in any your favorite web browser. Okay, so this is the sample component which is already created by our Angular. Right now we'll try to edit the components. So import into IDE. So I am using VS Code. So if you are using any other tools, you can use. I am using VS Code, Visual Studio Code, since it is a open source. We are using. So if you are trying to comfortable with any other tools, you can use, no problem. So I'm trying to remove all these previous projects. So file, new window. If you are first time opening this VS Code, so it will display like this. From here you can navigate into file, open folder simply, and then wherever your project is stored, go navigate into that particular directory. So Angular project, right? Angular projects and REST integration testing. Double click on it. So this is my root folder and select folder. So now our Angular application is displaying here in IDE. So just close this welcome file. So here, if you can see, expand this src and expand the app. So this is the app component. Here we have app component.css, HTML file, spec file, and TS file. If you can see HTML file here, by default they have added few like auto-generated code. Whatever we are seeing in here, the same thing here there. So I am trying to remove this, Control A, and remove this. Hi, this is app is working something. I am trying to add app is working. Save it. This is the app component.html file. If you can see here, our newly added data is displaying here. Okay, so now I'm going to create a button in app component.html. So if you click that button, our actual data will display. Okay, so for example, see, I think center tag is deprecated. I don't want to add a more CSS. Spring Boot API integration. I am trying to add one header. And then a button. Click here for users, all users, simply like this. Save it, Control S. So if you can see, so if you click this button, so this button event will trigger. That event will call our REST service API and get the data and displaying into console. First of all, as of now, console will display in console. Okay, so that or we can go to another component. Okay, user component. Will create user component. So I'm opening terminal here, new terminal. So I am selecting, instead of PowerShell, I am selecting command prompt. Yes, now I am trying to hit ng generate component. Component name is user component simply. Okay, hit enter. I hope everyone know about these commands, Angular commands, ngCli commands. If you are not sure, so just verify previous tutorial. So same content, save it. So this is only right. So the content, this is a user component is generated. Open this user component and go to HTML file and add whatever need here. So I'm just adding a button, whatever the button I created in app component, same button I pasted in user component.html file, right? So this I need to append, right? So go to this user component.ts and copy this selector and go to our actual app component.html. So here you can add the selector, so that component is appended here. If you can see, our button is enabled now. So if you click this button, the API will respond. So how can we do that? So in that case, if you can see, the main thing is how to communicate Angular, how to communicate REST service from Angular, right? We need we need to take a helper to call that particular HTTP service, that is called HTTP client. HTTP client we need, so we need to create object for the HTTP client, and then this HTTP client is available one of the module that is called HTTP client module. HTTP client module. So we need to add this module in app module.ts file, as well as we need to create object for HTTP client. From there we are going to use. Okay. In that case, we need to what we call this. We need to create a service. We need to create a user service. Inside this service, create object for HTTP client module. So by using object obj dot, so whatever the methods, HTTP methods, right, like get or put or post, delete, whatever methods, I will show you how to call. So based on that we'll try to understand. Okay, so our main thing is, first of all, we need to create a user service. So how can we create a user service by using Angular CLI? So inside this user folder, I need to create a service. Under the service, we need to create a service name, like see, ng generate service. Service means yes. So under users, right, user is the folder slash so user service, another folder I need. Inside this user folder, another service folder I need. Under this service, actual user. So I added user. So if you hit enter, so it will create two files. One is user service file and then spec file, right? Two files. If you can see, inside the user folder there is another folder service. If you expand this service, we have like service spec file and user service.ts file. Yes. So open this user service file. So this is the sample user service. You can close the terminal because of everything is completed, right? So here we need HTTP client module first. We need HTTP client object. So how can you create an object? Inside the constructor private, so object name colon and then our actual HTTP client, which is coming from Angular /common/HTTP. Okay, so importing here, I imported here and then I created object. This is the object creation in Angular, right? Inside the constructor only we are going to create, right? So before if you try to execute this project, so this is already in execution, right? Let it be. So we need a method. I am trying to create a method like get all users. Okay, so it is returning observable. It is returning observable, or if you don't want to write any return type, just leave it. It should be public get all users. I'm trying to create a method. So from here we are going to call our API. So I'm trying to take one variable here, API URL is equals to, so take, right? So here we have HTTP, right? So this dot HTTP dot, so here which URL, like which method, get method, right? So get, so here return this dot HTTP dot get off. So this is the method. So here we are going to pass the URL, our API URL. So let's see, here we have API URL, and then this is the method, right? Just add a method. Okay. So get all users, and we created HTTP client object here, HTTP, right? This dot HTTP get and then URL. So this API URL I am going to add it here. This dot API URL. So where I can get API URL. So this is my API URL, right? Or just copy this URL and add it here. Control, right? So now my method is enough. I mean, this is enough for consuming or calling API URL by using HTTP client. So we are just simply creating object of HTTP client, and by using that HTTP object dot get method and followed with our API URL. Save it. Then go to user component file. This is the service, right? Service is ready now. Now go to user component.ts file. So here I am going to create one method like get all user data, whatever. So name is yours, anything you can create. And then we need the object of service method, user service method, so that by using that object we'll call this particular get all users method, right? So how can we create object of user service inside this user component.ts? So through constructor, we need constructor. So that I am trying to write constructor here. Constructor. So inside this constructor, private something identifier I am using service colon. What is the service name? User service. User service. That's all. So object is ready now. Service. Now use this service. How can we do this dot service? This dot service. This is the object dot. Inside the method we have get all users, right? I am calling this method. Since this user dot service is written, this HTTP dot get will return a observable, right? It returns a observable. So that if it is written observable, we need to must and should we need to subscribe that. So inside this, so we are using dot subscribe. Dot subscribe. So we are going to get the response by using arrow functions. How can we get that response? By using arrow function. Let's see here. Response. Arrow function, open bracket, close bracket. Here I am going to just print console.log, and then whatever response variable is coming from API, so that response I am trying to print in console. Okay, so now my get all user data method also ready inside this user component. Now we have user component.html. So we need to bind that method from this button. How can we do? By using click event. Click event binding. Click binding is equal to what is the name of the method inside the component. Just copy this get all user data and then go to your HTML file and just paste it here. That's all. If we hit this button, this method will trigger. So in this method, so it is navigating into get all users method inside the service and calling the API by using HTTP client, and then get the response, and we are just printing in console. So let's try to execute. Few of the errors will come, so we'll resolve one by one. We'll see. So this is our application is up and running. Okay, so open inspect it, open developer tools, go to console. If you can see, so there is one issue because of HTTP client we are using, but where this HTTP client is available, HTTP client module we already discussed. So we need to import that module. We need to add that module. So how can we do that? Go to app-module.ts file. Go to app-module.ts file. So under this import section, so add HTTP client module. Okay, HTTP client module. Just save it. So if you can see, this error will go away now. Okay, so now everything is fine. I'm just hitting this. Click here for all users, right? I'm just hitting. So API is triggered. If you can see here, all users. It is triggered already. It is in pending state. It's loading. See, pending state. So wait for the response. Since it is a Google Cloud, so it is taking some time. to load. So it is still, yes, you can see here 200. So that all user API is working and it is giving 200. If you can see preview or response, so all data is coming here, right? Okay, go to console, because of we are adding console.log here. Here you can able to see all the data, all the JSON data here. Okay, seven users is coming here. Yeah, that is about the simplest way to communicate with APIs from Angular. So if you can write like if for example, if it is success, means it is coming to success block. If it is coming as error, what will happen? That's what we are going to add, error also. So see, how can I modify this? So if it is a success, colon any. Okay, if it is a success, so I am trying to use this response, comma. If it is error, colon error. If it is a error, then again arrow function. Here we need to handle the error. Console.log error to fetch all users something. If you want, you can print it error. So this is the actual usage of observable, success part and then failure, error part. So this is what whatever APIs we have, we can add it in service and we can consume from this component.ts file, component file by subscribing that observable and getting that response and displaying in your Angular application. So as of now, I am just printing in console. So and like next video, we are trying to print that response in tabular format. Okay, so that you will able to see rich UI data table. So we'll understand how to print the data in data table, Primeng data table, how to integrate Primeng in Angular application. So everything will understand. So make sure, guys, one more thing, our application is API is deployed in GCP, right? So that you have to must and should you have to enable this annotation in your service, cross origin. Otherwise, you will get some cross related errors. Your Angular application is not able to talk that particular API. So that if it is a local, no need. So it's directly a local URL you can able to communicate. But if it is deployed in GCP, like any cloud services, so make sure you need to enable this annotation, cross origin annotation, as part of your API. Okay. So because of Angular application treats as a third-party application, so that it won't allow to access the API. That's what if you can add this cross origin, origins is all origins, so that Angular application is simply able to communicate with your API. Yeah, that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining. So we'll try to understand Primeng data table next video. So we'll meet in next session, guys. Thank you so much, guys.